How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video here on my 7.3 Power Stroke. Right here it is. It's a 2000 Ford F-250 with the 7.3 in it that I just got done restoring. And I'm going to go ahead and talk about how much money it costs to redo one of these trucks. If you've got one that's getting rusted out or whatever and it needs a lot of work and you're questioning if you should sell it, trade it in and buy a new one, or if you'd rather just fix this one up, or if maybe you're looking on Marketplace at one that needs some work and you want to know what it's going to take to fix it, this video's for you. So right here we got the hood open, and that's because I'm going to talk about the engine, which is the very first thing I did when I purchased this truck, was pull the motor to do a reseal on it. And as you can see down in here, the black is painted black, and then I have silver accents everywhere, which looks pretty nice. But basically, when I first bought it, it had a very bad oil pan leak. It had been boogered up by the previous owner at some point, full of some kind of putty to try to stop it. I'll put a picture up on screen. And it had various leaks coming from all over it, being a 24-year-old truck. So when I went ahead and pulled it, I did a exhaust back pressure valve delete with a new pedestal, which was $150. I did new glow plugs and under valve cover harness, which was $300. Bellowed up pipes from Riff Raff Diesel, $150. And then I also had to buy, obviously, the oil pan itself for $150, as well as the dipstick and adapter, which ran me another $100. The starter went out the day I put it back together. I pulled it in the shop, it ran great. Starter was working that day. When I put the motor back in, wouldn't start. Starter was bad. That was $200. And then in addition to that, I ended up breaking a few things. I had to get a new fuel pressure regulator, which was $60. New fuel lines for $150. I had to end up getting a whole new used oil cooler for $170. I spent about $100 worth of fluids, coolant, power steering, etc. The alternator on it ended up going out, which I picked up one for $230 Ford OEM. And you don't really want to cheap out on the alternators, because if you buy an aftermarket one, it will go out immediately again and again and again. So if you guys are ever in that situation where you need a new one, just buy OEM. And then worth of Rust-Oleum engine enamel was $60. And then I have miscellaneous gaskets listed, which is going to include oil cooler gaskets, oil pan gaskets, or the oil pan RTV that I used. The rear main seal, fuel bowl reseal, etc. is going to be right around $160. And that will bring us to a total of $2,000 to reseal this engine and get it ready to go again. Now getting into the body work. As some of you know who watched the rebuild series on this, I had to do full new inner and outer rockers and cab corners on this truck, which all the material for that, metal-wise, that I had to buy to weld in was $300. And then that moves into this bed right here, which I got this truck bed here in a combo deal. The guy just bought the truck from Texas. He was a farmer about 2 hours away from me. And he switched to a work style bed, which, as you can see, this bed's in real good shape. I had to fix some dents on it, but that was it, and they weren't really that bad. This bed right here is a 11 through 16 box, and then I believe it's an 08 to 16 rear bumper, which was off an XL. It was originally the flat black color. I did some body work on that, painted it the green of the truck, and then it came with this, which I believe is either 08 to 10 or 08 to 11 Super Duty tailgate, which I went ahead and fixed all the dents on it and painted it, as well as paint to match door handles. And that right there, I got all three of those parts in a combination deal for only $1,500, which is a steal. If any of you guys are into these trucks, you will know that you can easily pay $2,000 to $2,500 for just a box, and then you have to get a tailgate is probably worth another $500, and that rear bumper is probably also worth roughly $150 to $200. So after that, I went ahead and did this 05 front end conversion. As you can see, I pieced all these parts together, where I actually got the front bumper used on Marketplace. It isn't perfect. This is a cheap example, but I picked it up for $100 and paint matched it myself, the upper plastic piece. And then in addition to that, I went ahead and picked up this 05 grill, which it didn't have the logo on it, but the rest of the grill was in great shape. I picked that up on Marketplace for 50 bucks. And then these headlights right here with full LEDs inside of them, I picked up for around $200. And to install the 05 grill and headlights, you actually have to switch to an 05 to 07 header panel as well, which ran me 100 bucks used on Facebook Marketplace. And then these mirrors right here are 08 to 10 mirrors. I picked these up, I believe, on Amazon, and they were $200. And then I spent an additional $50 getting the chrome caps that I swapped on. Obviously, those are paint matched as well, but I'll get into all the paint match at the end. After that, I went ahead and picked up these clear cab lights for 25 bucks, which is a very cheap price. If I could do this again, I would have got something better, because if I turn these on really quick, you'll see they barely even want to work. So as you can see, they all come on, but the way they're designed, there's actually 4 bulbs, little strips of LED in each bulb pointing each way. And like, as you can see, half of them, the one facing forward doesn't even come on some of them. So if you look at it straight on, it looks like some of my cab lights are burned out. But if you look at it from behind, all the rear ones still work for the most part, other than some of them barely even do that either. So just as a word of caution, don't expect to pick up a set of these for only 25 bucks and have them actually be anything good. You're gonna have to spend a little more than that. But moving on from them cab lights, I went ahead and picked up this lower valance here, an 08 to 10 style 6.4 two-wheel drive valance. And as you can see, it does look nice, but if we zoom in here, it doesn't really fit the best, and I had to do a lot of trimming to get it fit as well as it does, with that being said. But that was $60. And then the next piece of plastic I had to buy is for the rear. I reused these bed rail caps. They're still in good shape, but the plastic on the top of this tailgate was really messed up. So I went ahead, and this part right here is another mistake I made. I bought this stuff a long time ago, and I picked up an aftermarket plastic tailgate cover for $40, which it still went on okay. You had to kind of mess with it to get it to lay on there right, but it did at least work. The next thing was the step pad for this rear bumper was all messed up on the other one. So I bought an aftermarket one for $82, and it wouldn't fit right at all. Like, you could see right here how that plastic fits really nice to that bumper along all this edge here. Well, on the aftermarket one, it wouldn't fit at all, so you had to get OEM, and I was unable to return it, but I had to go to Ford and spend another $125 on the step pads. That's a lesson learned right there. I have $120 worth of emblems into this thing from all the F-250 International fender badges that I put on, as well as the matching chrome Power Stroke door badge, the new badge that I put on the tailgate, and the new badge in the Ford badge on the grill. And for miscellaneous and hardware, Bondo, etc., new filler neck bolts, bed bolts, all that good stuff, I have right around $250 in that. So worth of body work in this thing, we have $3,202. And then to complete that body work, we had to give it a new paint job. This right here is R2 dark teal metallic that I sprayed myself. And the material to do this job, using PPG Eltron 2000 paint with Shopline JC 630 clear coat, and I believe the primer I used was JP 202 for overall my body work, which also can be used as a sealer. The total cost of that paint job that I did myself was actually $2,300. That $2,300 price tag is with me doing all the labor. I work in a dealership body shop for a living, so I was able to use their shop for a weekend to get this thing sprayed. So keep that in mind. If you don't have the skills or ability to lay out a clean paint job like the way this one is, as you can see, this thing came out beautiful. If you don't have the knowledge or the equipment to do this, you might end up having to go pay someone to do it. And just to get this thing sanded and painted, if you did all the cutting and welding and Bondo yourself and you did all your body work correctly, you could easily be looking at $5,000–6,000 right there. So just keep that in mind. And then now moving into the interior, this is pretty much just a basic early 2000s truck interior. As you can see, it does have 08 to 10 XLT seats swapped into it, which I did not do that. The previous owner put them in, so I have no idea what that ran him. But when I actually pulled the motor, you have to pull the trans as well. And in doing that, I went ahead and threw a new shift boot on here. As you can see, this is a ZF6 truck. And that new shift boot, that the original one was kind of looking ripped up, was $40. This radio right here, I had Cartoons put it in. It is a Pioneer head unit. Let's see if you can see the number right there if you're wondering. It works really great. I had that put in by Cartoons because whatever cheaper aftermarket one was in it when I bought it went out on me, and that was $340. And then all this window tint you're seeing here was mostly already done. I had the back glass redone with 5% tint because the original was peeling pretty bad. The tint on these doors is actually in really good shape. I would want to say that the tint on the doors is probably roughly 20%. And then I had 35% put on the windshield, which just to get the windshield and back glass was $200, which puts me at $580 in the interior. Now moving on to the undercarriage, I went ahead and had to buy a rear half of a frame off an 08 Super Duty that I found on Facebook to cut the spare tire mount out because mine was rotted and welded it into mine. And I purchased that little section of rear frame for only $40. I spent about $50 DIY sandblasting the frame, and then $90 worth of POR 15 to go over the top of that. In the front end, it had the sway bar bushings. The actual plate that holds them on rusted out completely and broke off, so I had to get that new piece and sway bar bushings for $100, so that puts us at $280 in undercarriage. And then the last thing, which is just in its own category, I went ahead and did a DIY spray and bed liner. This is a Raptor liner kit that I got off Amazon. This is just the rubber mat in here as well to protect it it came with the bed. But this I did myself for only $135. So right there, what it cost me to turn this from the rusted out work truck leaking oil into what you see now cost me a grand total of $8,477. Now keep in mind that price could drastically vary depending on the condition of your truck. I was lucky enough not to have to replace the front fenders or the doors, and I was also lucky to actually have the knowledge and skills and tools to do all this work myself. If you don't have a means of doing body work, chances are it's going to be really wavy. If you look down the side of my truck, all the body work I've done to it is very straight. If you're a beginner and you've never done it before, chances are those dents you fixed you'll still see when you're done painting, and chances are your paint job won't be nearly as smooth as you're hoping it would be. So just keep that in mind. But with that being said, I hope someone found this informative, and I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video.